This is Powerful People of San Diego. Wouldn't you like to know what it takes to become the mayor or run for any public office? Today's show is about how a regular citizen can run for public office. Indeed, can even be run for mayor. We have in our studio today the one, the only, Rich Riel. Welcome to the show, Rich.
Thank you very much.
Now, you actually are an expert on running for public office.
True story that. I have run for mayor now 3 times. I ran back in 1983, and that was after Pete Wilson had left this and Roger Hedgecock, Maureen O'Connor were running. And my father graduated from the Citadel and I graduated from the Citadel. 40 years ago, we decided what could we do as graduates for the city of San Diego. And we decided that the best thing that we could do for the city of San Diego is stop the sale of city-owned land and limit the mayor's term to 2 terms. So, well, now we have how to do it. What do we do? And my dad says, well, Rich, what do you think? And I said, you know, Dad, elections are the marketplaces of ideas. Why don't I run for mayor? And my father said, you know, that's not a bad idea, and your platform will be the 2 ideas that we want to implement. So I ran. I started out dead last.
In what year?
1983.
Yes.
Actually, 1982 was the first time, and then Roger Hedgecock won the remaining 18-month term.
Yes.
And I planned, after the first one, to run again against him because now I understood how the game was played. So the second time I ran, we were much better organized. We knew what we were doing. And again, the same 2 ideas. And the interesting thing about it that convinces me that I'm absolutely right about an election, it is the marketplace of ideas. Both times I started out in dead last. Nobody knew who Rich Riel was. And both times I finished in the top 20%. And I believe it was not the money I spent. It was the ideas that I proposed. And those ideas resonated with the voters. Now, later, after I left, a lot of the elected officials noticed how well I did, and they started to talk about term limits. And that's why I think I had a little bit of a part in playing to see that we have term limits here in San Diego. But the one that really disappointed me, the one that would have made San Diego so much different today, is if we had stopped the sale of city-owned land. And a perfect example would be Horton Plaza.
Of course. Horton
Plaza. Had we leased that land to Ernie Hahn for 50 or 100 years, it wouldn't have made any difference. The land comes back to the city of San Diego, and we wouldn't have this mess that we have today.
That's right.
So here it is. Now, here's why I didn't run the 3rd time. They actually came to me. The Republican Party came to me and said, Rich, you should run. You're doing really well. Roger's under indictment, you know. And my wife came to me and she said, you are a father, and you promised me that if you didn't win the 2nd time, you would not run for mayor until your son graduated from college. So I remember that, and I said to my wife, I said, you're right. And I have to tell you, she was absolutely dead right. It is better to be a father than to be mayor of San Diego. But the good news is my son has now graduated from college. Faulkner is termed out, which I love. The irony of that is beautiful. So here I am. I'm running.
You're right. Now, I think that your story is an example that in general, anybody could run for mayor.
Absolutely.
Let's talk, well, first of all, what would you advise people, knowing what you know now about running for mayor or any public office in terms of organization, ideas?
Okay, first of all, you've got to get away from the idea that that people that are in elected offices are smarter than the rest of us. They aren't, okay? Anyone can run for mayor, for city council, school board, or whatever. But the real problem that we have today is we have political parties that are grooming their candidates. So they all say, we're going to make you a professional politician. And so I want to point out to everybody out there, I'm not a professional politician. I don't do this because it's a job or it's a pension. I do it because I believe in the ideas that I have. And if you think you have good ideas, you can beat anybody. If you can attract people to your cause, get your organization together, plan. And the beautiful part about the way the election process in San Diego works now is it's easy to plan when you're going to run, because the worst thing you can do is run against an incumbent. We all know that incumbents, name recognition, it's really tough to overcome an incumbent. But because we have term limits, you can say, oh, good, Faulkner terms out in 8 years. There's my chance. And I want to encourage the citizens of San Diego to take the time to think about how they feel about this city. Because right now, I think this city is terrible. I think the last 40 years has gone downhill. We can't get to the beaches anymore. The roads are gridlocked. Horton Plaza is a mess, and the reason it's a mess is that we didn't enforce the agreement that we had with Weston Hill that required them to keep it leased up. The whole idea was, again, to do the whole thing again. They wanted to get another developer in and make another developer very wealthy, and of course, when developers are wealthy, they contribute to the politicians.
Right. Not to the general public.
That's right. And I want to bring this point home. And if you watch my election, I'm going to prove that. I proved it the first 2 times. You don't need money to run. What you need is people that are your friends who will go out and work for you for free. And you'll be creative about how you spend the money, the limited funds that you have.
Right.
Go to all the forums. You'll have an opportunity to go to forums throughout the city to espouse your ideas. And even the media will cover you. I guarantee you that if you run for public office after they close the gates and we all know who's in there, if nothing else, they will cover every one of them just to show that they have equal access, or they're going to show all the candidates. So if you have good ideas, your ideas will sparkle and they will get votes.
What kind of forums are available to a potential candidate?
City council, the business community has them. The League of Voter Registration, they do. The Women's League of Voter Registration does it, and they do it with a lot of the local town councils. The town councils will do them. Some of the political groups in town. The Sierra Club holds a really good one, and in fact, what will happen as a candidate, one of the things that will happen to you is you will get letters from all these different organizations asking you how you feel about their organization. And so they have them. You write it down, and they say, "Oh, we got him now. If he gets elected, we got him on these words here."
And that's a good thing.
It is. It's a great thing because, again, you get to express your ideas. Because actually, when you're in public and you're running for public office, it's a privilege to address your fellow citizens and to explain to them why you should be elected. My ideas are better than everybody else's. That's why I should be elected.
And that's how we want to see our government work.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, talk to me about the costs. How much does it? There are limited costs that you do have to do when you sign up to be an elected official.
Interestingly enough, you can actually run as an indigent.
No kidding.
It's true. If you will declare an indigency status, they will waive the registration fee. The registration fee is $500. You got to get 200 signatures, and you're in. You're on that. And that's for the mayor. For the city council, I believe it is still $200. But I don't think you have to get 500 signatures. I think you only have to get 200 signatures.
Well, that's good. And then you are able to create a paragraph which goes on the
the ballot statement. Yes. Once you've qualified for it, you give them 200 words. You give them 200 words, and that was part of why I thought back in the day, back 35 years ago, that most voters made their decision not off of all the advertising, but of the 200 words. I figure anybody who can write in 200 words or less why they should be that office, that's the guy I want, or woman that I want.
That's right, because you can understand the specifics of what they want. And
the ability to reduce to small numbers of words what you're trying to convey shows a very good mind.
A very sharp mind. Now let's talk about you. I want to show the general public that even you, based on even your background, can put together a campaign in order to run. Let's talk about when you graduated from the Citadel.
Okay. I left the Citadel in 1969. I went to law school here in San Diego, up there at Point Loma College, when it was still Point Loma College. It was Cal Western was the law school. And after a year of law school, I decided I did not want to be a lawyer. And one of my best friends in law school said, "Hey, let's go up to Harrah's and work in the casinos." And I said, "Wow, that is, here you are, 22 years old, and you're going,
fun.
Whoa." And it was. And I went up there, and for 6 years, I was a high-limits craps dealer at Harrah's.
Wow.
Oh, it was great fun. But you know, after about 5 or 6 years up there, I said to myself, is this what I want to do with my life? I've got a college education. I'm smart. Do I really want to play a game for the rest of my life? And the answer was no. I wanted to come back to San Diego. I came back to San Diego. I went to work for AFCO Financial Services. Then I worked my way up into the savings and loan industry and the banks. And actually, I went to work for the city of San Diego. as a financial specialist for the Housing Commission.
What did you do there?
I was a financial specialist, and my job was to get government programs and meld them to the rehabilitation programs that we were working in the Housing Commission. And in fact, they had what was called Section 8 moderate rehab. And the way the program worked was that we would guarantee people who would remodel their houses for low-income families. We would put a Section 8 certificate on that, and they would make the houses nicer, and we would then get Section 8 tenants in here, and we captured a lot of certificates using that program.
That's amazing. Now, let's pause right there, because housing is a very hot topic here in San Diego. What are your feelings about our housing issues?
You know, the government, the San Diego city government has failed. You know, their solution's simple. Oh, we need to build more houses. We build more houses, we're going to bring the prices down. They have been telling us that for the last 40 years. We have high density and the prices are still going up. The secret, the real solution to this problem is zoning. And what they're doing right now is we have single-family residents. You can't run a rental unit from a single-family residence, but we have lots of single-family residents in all 9 districts.
Right.
So what we got to do is change the zoning to allow for another house in your house, make it a small one, a rental one. We will double the amount of housing available, and that will drive the prices of real estate down.
Like granny flats,
That's right,
the
exactly.
tiny houses.
That's exactly right. And we can do it without high density, high-rise buildings with no parking. San Diego is gridlocked right now. You can't even go to the beaches on the 4th of July. No. And I'm angry about that. And they're not doing anything else other than adding more density. They want to increase the height limitation, and they want to remove parking. San Diego was built on the idea that you had cars.
Yes.
It is a lie to tell us that public transportation works. It doesn't work. It's a dismal failure. And it has been for the last 40 years, and yet we continue to pour money down the rat hole.
Yeah, that's
let's build better streets, let's build more freeways, and let's talk to Sandag and tell them, no, you need to put the money into the freeways that we voted that tax on. And I am not going to go, and if I'm elected mayor next year, and Sandag goes for more money, I'm going to campaign against them because they haven't used the money the way they promised the voters of the city of San Diego. They as soon as we give it to them, goes into public transportation.
Yeah. Okay, so now we have you at the Housing Authority, and then where did you go after that?
After the Housing Authority, it was the funniest thing in the world. Ronald Reagan gets elected President of the United States, and everybody in the Housing Authority says, oh, God, he's gonna gut the programs. And you know what? He did. So I lost my job, but the Contreras Brothers Development Corporation, the largest minority-owned construction company in Southern California, picked me up and asked me if I would be their chief financial officer. So I went to work for the Contreras Brothers, and we worked with the San Diego Housing Commission, and we built thousands of low-income units here in San Diego, and we did it under Section 8, and we did it with Ben Montillo. And I like to think that there are a lot of people that are living in San Diego in units that the Contreras Brothers and I built.
That's amazing. So you're responsible for housing here in San Diego, too?
Oh, absolutely. And then after that, we hit a recession. Unfortunately, my partners and I were in Pacific Beach Toyota. We had Channel 60. Now, we owned everything. And we had a lawyer for a partner. And the lawyer said, hey, look, why don't you guys retire? So we took out, he gave us this humongous loan. So we started living off this loan, not thinking, what happens if he can't make the payments?
Oh, dear.
So he ran the business into ground, couldn't make the payments, and we all went bankrupt together. And I went to work for Wells Fargo Bank.
Giving out loans.
Yeah, absolutely. So I worked for Wells Fargo Bank, and then I went out on my own after Wells Fargo Bank, and I was a real estate broker. And in the last, let's see, I'm 72 years old. So when I turned 65 and I retired, I reinvented myself. I am a computer tech and a DJ.
Wow.
And I've done parties for the last 20 years in San Diego. Many people have seen me in their houses doing weddings, parties, corporate events.
You have a big constituency already.
I do. Believe me, I know a lot of people in this city. I'm going to surprise the powers that be when I run for mayor.
But you come from a big family.
I do.
Talk to me about this wonderful family you have here.
Okay.
You're the oldest of...
Oh, my God. It was an earthquake. You saw the earthquake.
I saw the earthquake. So you're the oldest of 8?
I'm the oldest of 8. That's me over here. Right next to my sister is Carol, and then there's Robert, there's Eddie. And there is my sister Margaret, Francie, and the twins, Listy and Roberta, and my mom and dad. My mom just passed away. My dad passed away 6 years ago. But my dad is the reason that I'm running for mayor. And my mom, she was a big supporter of me, and I was hoping that she was going to make it long enough to see me run.
To see you run. Well, she's seeing you somewhere.
That's right. She's watching me from heaven.
She is watching, and this is, talk to me about the flag here.
When my dad is a Citadel graduate. He graduated in 1941. And in World War II, he thought he was going with the general to invade North Africa. And instead of going into North Africa, he went up to Iran in Tabriz, and he was a supply officer and he was responsible for seeing the mirror.
Bring it over here.
Okay. And what happens when a veteran dies, he was interned in Miramar, and they give you the flag. That was the flag that they draped over the coffin, and that was the cross. This is the government give it. This is the government gives to every veteran who served in World War II.
It's just beautiful.
And my brothers and sisters thought that I should have it because I'm the oldest, and I thought that was very nice of them.
That is. Okay, there we go. So now where do you see your campaign going?
Okay.
So the first thing you do is file an intent.
Yeah, you file your intent, and I filed my intent. And in fact, if you're going to run for public office, the sooner you file your intent, the more time you have to get your organization going. And this is what's real critical about it. If you, I actually took about a year and 3 months before this current election, and that's when I filed my intent, last year.
So how far ahead of time can you file?
You could file 4 years in advance.
No kidding.
Of course.
Okay.
You know, and again, the whole idea is to tell people that there's somebody interested in that office. And that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to get people to run for public office.
Exactly.
But the benefit of doing it early is that, first of all, you can send out, and believe me, this is what you got to do when you're running for mayor or for city council or any office, is you have to have press releases going out every week, every month, with events that you have come up with. Now, the press themselves will probably not come there. But if they get the press release, they know you're serious. So that's the first thing, is that you have to take positions on issues that are important to you. You have to create events in the public, get you out in the public. Like, for instance, if they're having a little sale, a marketplace sale, go there, set up a booth. Talk to people about them and try to get them interested in your ideas, and more importantly, get them to work for you for free.
Yes, and then you can set up dinners at people's homes.
Exactly.
And then invite them to meet the neighbors, meet the television people.
I have taken a different approach that is born out from the other 2 times that now that I'm a DJ, I have all my equipment. What I do is I'll go to the parks and I will set up my equipment, start playing music, and then I'll be talking about what's going on in San Diego, and I'll be talking about the upcoming election, and I will try to get people that are interested in working in my campaign. So rather than knocking on doors, I'm going out into the parks and into the public area. And
bringing people to you.
That's it.
That's very clever. That's very clever.
Good ideas.
Very good ideas. So when somebody comes up to you, what do you say to them?
First thing I ask them, are you a registered voter? The single most important question you can ask anybody is, are you a registered voter? If they say no, you got to figure out why. Most of the time, they'll say yes. And then if you say yes, and say, well, who are you going to vote for in the office of whatever it is that you're running for? And most of the time, we haven't decided yet. And they say, well, I would like to tell you why you should consider me. And then you go into your spiel.
Excellent. So people should plan those spiels out in advance.
I think what they'll find when you run for public office, what'll happen is it's almost like improv. You start going out there, and there are key things that you always say, and they're always in your mind, and then you tailor them to your audience.
That makes sense. We are here in the studio. We're talking today about how people can run for public office. We have the one and only Riel here running for office of mayor. He declared a little over a year ago, and he's a very experienced office runner. He's here to talk to you about what you can do if you would like to run for public office as well. So what would you like to tell people? We have about 5 minutes remaining. So what would you like to tell people about whether they should run or not, or how hard it is, or what they should think about when they meet somebody running for public office?
I think the thing that I would like to tell everybody in San Diego, the single most important thing that we have to remember, that we are first San Diegans. So if you're registered to vote, it is important that you analyze who's running. And here's really been the problem throughout, and this is my observation on San Diego politics for the last 40 years. The fix is in. It doesn't matter if you vote for the Republican or the Democrat. Both of them are owing to the large campaign donors. People like you and I are told, don't run because if you don't have a lot of money, you don't have a chance. And that's not true. If you've got good ideas, you need to challenge our elected officials. It's important that you go out there into the forums and bring the thing that I enjoy the most is when I ran against Roger Hedgecock, he would make these promises. And I would sit there and I'd hold the budget up and I'd say, Roger, you and I both know if you make that promise, it's 3 years before you can deliver on the project. And you got to figure out where you're going to find the money to pay for it. And that's what I want to see by having people in San Diego run for public office. I want them to study about the office. I want them to look at their opponents and figure out what the weaknesses are. Because I got to tell you, I am looking forward to talking to Todd Gloria about the pension program. Right now, this city is broke, and the municipal employees have destroyed our city. We can't afford to pay for the programs because of this, and I have the solution. The solution is Social Security. We're going to put every city employee on Social Security. Now, I can't go back to the other employees who are on the gravy train, but after I get elected mayor, bam, that's it. No more retirement. We're getting out of the pension business.
That would make sense. That would make sense. I think it's been wonderful having you here, Rich. The last thing is, what are the questions that we as a general public should be asking of the candidates for any office?
Who owns them? Ask them where the money comes from. And you know what? This year, ask them what their pension is. Ask them how much. You know what? The mayor of San Diego, here he is, Todd Gloria, is making $100,000 a year. $100,000 a year, but next year, if he is mayor, the salary doubles to $200,000. Todd Gloria, if he's elected mayor, his pension, if he serves 8 years as mayor, he gets $40,000 a year for the rest of his life, no matter what else he does. He's vested. And that's why the pension program is broke.
So you think that the people who are in office are not entitled to that?
I absolutely do. The whole idea behind America was it was a duty, honor, and a privilege to serve as an elected official. The idea that we should pay people to govern us, that comes out of a 2,300-year-old book called Plato's Republic, and he called them plutocrats. They trade their position for wealth. And that's what we have in America today. We have plutocrats running this country. We no longer have a republic, we have a plutocracy.
Well, don't you think that the mayor should get some money for doing the job?
You know, again, I don't object to paying $200,000 to the mayor's office or $100,000 to the mayor's office because, again, I'm not doing it for the money. But I object strenuously to a retirement program. It only encourages them. So let's get out of the retirement business and stop giving elected officials pensions.
And the last question, our last 2 minutes here, what would be the first thing that you would do when you become mayor?
The first thing that I would do when I became mayor is I will call all of the people on city council and tell them, you're not going to get that 100% pay increase unless you pass or you put on the ballot a ballot proposition to stop the sale of city-owned land, and more importantly, we put it on the ballot that we go to Social Security. Then I'll give them their pay increases. If they do that for me, they get paid. But that's the power that the mayor has. He is the man responsible for the budget plan, and I will control the budget.
That's why they call it the Strong Mayor Plan.
That's right.
Yeah, and that was a big, huge difference when they voted in that.
You know, and I was against it, and I'm still against it. The mayor has it used to be we had a city manager, and the city manager came about as the direct result of the corruption of the mayor and city council, and this was back in 1910 in San Diego.
Not currently.
Not currently, no. 1910, they had a corrupt, so they went, or 1930, so they went to a city manager form of government. And it worked fine until Pete Wilson came in. Pete Wilson hated the city manager because the city manager kept saying, we can't do this. And successive mayors came the same way, and they came to realize that the political will that you have cannot be used against the city manager. So let's get rid of the city manager. They did. And now we could see Macy suing the city of San Diego because we didn't do what we were supposed to. A good city manager wouldn't have let that happen.
Would never let that happen.
That's right.
Thank you for being with us here on Powerful People of San Diego. Now you know how you too can run for city office, either as a mayor, a city council person, or anything.
School board, anything.
School board, anything. Rich Riel is here running for mayor. We hope you do well at that. We would like to come to your inauguration.
Believe me, it's going to be the greatest party in the world.
Thanks very much. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you here next time.
Thanks.
Well, that was fun.
It was.